All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're talking about how artificial intelligence is completely changing one of the most basic, fundamental parts of any business, procurement. How companies buy stuff. This is a huge shift. It's moving away from just blindly chasing the lowest price tag to making genuinely smart, cost-saving decisions. So let me start with a question for you. When you're buying something for your business, is the cheapest option always the best deal? I mean, think about it for a second. The answer seems obvious, right? But for decades, a surprising number of businesses have run their operations as if it were. Well, AI is now forcing everyone to completely rethink that entire philosophy. In this slide, this really lays out the whole transformation perfectly. Over on the left, you've got the old way of doing things, reactive, manual, and just obsessed with the sticker price. And on the right, you see the new way. It's predictive, it's automated, and it looks at the entire picture. The most important thing to see here is that jump from price focus to total cost focus.
So what do we even mean by total cost? Well, it's everything. It's not just the price you pay at the checkout. It's all those hidden expenses. The shipping delays, the potential cost if a supplier suddenly fails, the maintenance you'll have to pay for down the line. It's the true, complete financial hit of any purchase.
A perfect, real-world example of a company that totally gets this is the consumer goods giant Unilever. They made a massive strategic decision to stop making simple, price-based choices and instead focus on optimizing this total cost.
So how'd they pull it off? Well, they unleashed AI to crunch just massive amounts of data on how their suppliers were performing and what the market demand looked like in real time. And the result? They slashed those hidden costs and built a supply chain that was not only smarter, but also way more resilient. It could actually handle unexpected problems.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. We're going to look at 4 key areas where companies are seeing real, tangible victories by putting AI to work in how they buy things. First up is something called spend analysis. Now, this is all about getting a truly crystal clear picture of where a company's money is actually going. And for big organizations, believe it or not, this is incredibly difficult to do.
So here's where AI is a game changer. It just plows through mountains of messy, unstructured data, automatically figures out where every single dollar went, and then starts flagging opportunities to save money. It spots things like when 2 different departments are buying the exact same product from different suppliers at totally different prices.
And if you want proof, look no further than IBM. They pointed AI at their own enormous spending data. Just by finding duplicate suppliers and lumping their purchases together, they were able to go back and negotiate much better bulk deals. They unlocked huge savings. It's like finding money that was always there, just totally buried in the data.
Okay, application number 2, strategic sourcing. This is where AI helps companies pick the right suppliers. And it goes way, way beyond just choosing whoever has the lowest bid.
You see, AI can model these incredibly complex situations, and it can juggle all the trade-offs between cost, risk, delivery times, even a supplier's sustainability score. It might even suggest a strategy like dual sourcing, which basically means you intentionally use 2 suppliers for the same thing instead of putting all your eggs in one basket. It dramatically cuts your risk if one of them has a problem.
And General Electric? They do this exact thing. By using AI to constantly weigh their suppliers on all these different factors, they build a supply chain that isn't just cheap. It's incredibly tough and way less likely to face those really expensive disruptions. Which, of course, brings us to a fundamental question every single business has to wrestle with. How do you decide between the lowest cost and the lowest risk? Now, AI doesn't just give you the answer. What it does is give you all the data you need to make a much, much smarter decision for yourself. All right, let's move on to our third area, demand forecasting. This one's huge. If you can accurately predict what your customers are going to want and when they're going to want it, you can save an absolutely enormous amount of money.
And the process here is just so powerful. The AI doesn't just look at old sales numbers. It pulls in all this external information, things like upcoming holidays, weather forecasts, even what's trending on social media. It then spits out a super accurate forecast that helps businesses order just the right amount of stuff.
This visual shows you that balancing act perfectly. You want to avoid those costly stockouts where you lose sales because you ran out of product, but you also want to avoid having costly excess inventory just sitting around gathering dust in a warehouse. A company like Walmart uses AI to live in that optimal inventory sweet spot, and that's a massive reason why they're so efficient.
Of course, the absolute master of this whole game is Amazon. Their entire system is basically one giant AI-driven machine that optimizes every single step, from sourcing the materials to managing warehouse stock to the final delivery, all of it designed to just crush fulfillment costs.
And that is the perfect lead-in to our final application, logistics. We're talking about the actual physical movement of goods. And this is an area where AI is creating just jaw-dropping efficiencies. Think about it. AI algorithms can calculate the most efficient delivery routes, and they can do it in real time, factoring in live traffic, weather, and delivery schedules. This doesn't just save a ton of money on fuel and get packages there faster, it also has a huge positive impact on sustainability.
And if you want a statistic that'll just blow your mind, look at UPS. Their AI system, which is called Orion, saves the company 100 million miles of driving every single year. I mean, that is an unbelievable amount of savings in fuel, in time, and in emissions.
So, this all sounds pretty revolutionary, right? But making this new reality happen, well, it isn't always a smooth ride. Let's take a second to talk about the challenges and what the end goal really is here.
You know, the biggest hurdles are often the ones inside the company. And AI is only ever as good as the data you feed it. So if you have poor quality data, your project is pretty much doomed from the start. Then you've got the human challenges, like resistance from employees who are just used to doing things the old way. And of course, the technical headache of actually plugging these new AI systems into everything else.
And that brings us to what might be the most crucial point of this entire conversation. The goal here is not to replace human experts in procurement. It's to give them superpowers. It's all about creating a human plus AI collaboration, where the AI does the heavy lifting on data analysis, freeing up people to focus on what they do best, building strategic relationships, negotiating, and solving complex problems.
So we'll end on this thought. Amazon literally built its empire on this exact model of AI-driven efficiency. The billion-dollar question for the next decade is this: can that power be shared? Can every other company, whether they're big or small, learn to replicate it? The answer to that question is going to reshape our entire global economy.